Hey, what's going on, faithful supporters? It's your favorite, but at the same time, not favorite, random dude on the internet, Six Paths Dunga. And guess what this is? Oh yeah, you guessed it. How did you know? How did you know? It's another video! And today, I'm doing something that I really always wanted to do. I'm going to be taking all the Shinjutsu in this series so far, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. Now, just to be completely clear here, no Shinjutsu is quote-unquote bad. They're all overpowered in their own right, but since they're all overpowered, one has to be the least overpowered out of all of them. You catch my drift? So this video will consist of every Shinjutsu we actually seen and was revealed in the series. So no, I'm not going to be making up Shinjutsu like the ability to read minds or anything like that. And I'll also be ranking Shinjutsu that we've seen, but maybe haven't gotten a name for it yet. Like for example, whatever Momoshiki did to stop time and talk with Boruto. He's done it multiple times. And even though it hasn't officially been classified as a Shinjutsu, I'm gonna do it anyway because, well, I don't know, because I want to. So I hope I didn't bore you too much before we get into the video, but I just wanted to ask you guys if you would be so kind to drop a quick like on the video. The YouTube algorithm works in mysterious ways, but one of the ways to get on its good side is to run up the likes. That helps the video massively. So if you just take a second out of your busy day to make my day, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so you've seen it coming. I'm putting Momoshiki's time stop Shinjutsu last. So we've seen Momoshiki use this a few times throughout the story. First when he placed the karma onto Boruto when he got defeated. The second time was of course twice during the battle against Code. And the third time was just before Boruto was put on the mission to help keep surveillance over Ada and Damon. So it's pretty obvious why this is in last place. We simply haven't seen much from this ability. It was only used so Boruto and Momoshiki could interact with each other. But even so, it can still be used for reasons that benefits the user. For example, Momoshiki was able to trap Boruto in it and place the karma seal onto him. And he was able to resuscitate Boruto and save his life. We don't know the requirements to activate the technique and the details of what it could really do. Like how many people can be affected by the technique? Does it affect the entire world or only those in the vicinity? Is there a time limit to how long time can be stopped? And what are the restrictions while time is stopped? By the looks of it, they appear to still remain in this plane of existence, but honestly we don't know. All we know is Sasuke was able to see through it using his Rinnegan. I don't think he was able to move freely through the time stoppage. He was only able to see it happening. So the only way the technique would be placed higher on the list is if you was able to do more with it. But so far, it wasn't used to kill or injure anyone. And from the battle between Momoshiki and Code, I don't think it can be used that way. It only makes sense that he's not able to use it in combat. Otherwise, he would have just kept time frozen to dispose of everyone right then and there. It could be because technically Momoshiki doesn't have a physical body and he can only use time stop in his spirit-like state, or when he uses the technique, he's in a separate plane of reality, which only few people can reach. This could be the case because Sasuke was the only one who was able to see it, but only because of the Tomoe Rinnegan, one of the strongest dojutsu of all time. So I wouldn't be surprised if when they do explain the technique, it turns out they enter another dimension where time doesn't flow the same or something like that. So for simplicity reasons, we'll call this ability time stop or chronostasis. It has the potential to move way higher, but from what we've seen so far from it, I can't put it any higher than that. So what we got next is the claw marks. Now this Shinjutsu is very useful, and unlike time stop, you can actually use it in battle. To put it in simple terms, the claw marks is a unique ability that lets the user mix chakra with the iron from the user's blood to create black band-like objects that serve as portals to travel to previously marked locations. Now I don't really have to explain too much about the claw marks because that was probably one of the first Shinjutsu that was introduced to us. In terms of teleportation, you can literally put it anywhere and gain access to that location whenever you please. The only pullback is you have to place them yourself, meaning you can't actually get back to a location unless you've been there already. So to use it to transverse dimensions, you would have to have someone bring you to that dimension so you can place a claw mark there, as so did Code with the Ten Tails dimension. but first he needed JUGAN to take him there himself. He also placed some near Konoha, and also placed it on people, normally on the back of their neck or a place they usually wouldn't notice. He placed one on Shikamaru to gain easy access into Konoha to confront Amato and to eavesdrop onto important conversations. And that's just ways to use it out of combat. Now when we get into ways he can use it during combat, it gets a little bit more interesting. So literally you can place these things wherever you want, kind of like Minato's flying Raijin kunai. Then when you're ready to strike, just emerge from any of the 100 of claw marks throughout the battlefield. You can also place it on an enemy directly to catch them off guard and kill them with a single blow. The only known counter to the claw marks is Sukuna hikona. Basically, you would use that technique to just shrink the claw marks until it's unusable. I don't think this specifically brought it down on the list, because now literally only one person can hard counter it. It's this low just because the rest are just straight up better, or harder to work around than the claw marks. So this is where the video may start to get a little controversial. Everyone may have their own opinions on where everything should be, but honestly, I think the Shinjutsu I'm about to name next, a lot of you should agree is fair for me to place here, and that's gonna be Sukuna hikona. So this ability allows its user to instantaneously shrink themselves or any non-living thing within their field of vision, or return it to its original size. The only thing that absolutely cannot be shrunk is living beings, meaning people or animals of any sort. I don't have to really explain why this ability just solos all of Naruto without question. If you're fighting against someone that could shrink any jutsu you throw at them at will, there's no chance you're winning that fight. He can shrink the Rasengan, Chidori, literally any chakra based techniques. Flames, water, earth, wind, lightning. As long as it's non-living or you use chakra to create the technique, it can be shrunk. It also allows you to escape any trap or just get out of any sticky situation. It can also make you super hard to track in battle because you're just so small. This obviously makes it easier to surprise attack your enemy or even move around freely undetectable. The only reason why it's not higher is because it has been proven to be counterable. When Sasuke tricked Ishiki into trying to shrink a sword, that was actually Boruto to drag him into another dimension. So if you know how Sukuna hikona works, you can plan around it with the proper preparation. The real problem occurs when you pair this monstrosity with the next Shinjutsu I have, which is Daikokuten. So Daikokuten is a Shinjutsu that allows its user to store anything or anyone in a dimension where there's no concept of time. So when anything is in this dimension, it doesn't age or anything. Time simply doesn't flow in there. So through its use, anything the user has previously shrunk using Sukuna hikona can be stored in the Daikokuten dimension until needed. Now when retrieving objects, you can reverse Sukuna hikona and restore the objects to full size to make it seem like the objects are just spawning out of thin air. And they're manifested with such great speeds that it could catch even the most attentive characters off guard. This is why I have Daikokuten slightly above Sukuna hikona. The technique complements it so well. It honestly takes it to a completely different level of broken. Its ability is not limited like Sukuna hikona. So you could just place someone in there and just leave them there for all eternity without them even realizing it. So I'm placing this here because how well it works together with Sukuna hikona, and because it doesn't have a time limit to what you can place in it, or a limit to how many objects can be placed in it at a time. It just has a little bit more uses that outperforms it. Now the only downside to placing real people in that dimension is probably if you're fast enough, there may be a way for you to escape from being sealed. I can actually see a few characters get out of a situation like this. The first one is Boruto, who has multiple ways of doing it, as you can see on the screen right here. He can absorb the portal with his karma, as he's shown to be able to do, and I suspect now he can also use flying Raijin to escape Kawaki's line of sight fast enough to avoid being sealed. So that means Minato might be able to escape too, and Rinnegan Sasuke should be able to escape using Amenote Jakara as well. So you see, if you can get out of the portal and escape Kawaki's line of sight, you should be able to avoid it. And by this logic, you can work around the technique. So Sukuna hikona and Daikokuten are close, but at the end of the day, Daikokuten takes the edge, but only slightly. Next technique we're going to enter in our unofficial official Shinjutsu ranking is going to be Momoshiki's Foresight ability. Now, this was one of the first Shinjutsu that was revealed to us in the series. Basically, this allows Momoshiki to gaze into someone's future with the help of his Byakugan. I really don't have much to say about this one, because as helpful as it could be to read the future of someone, it has its limitations. Limitations that include only being able to see one person's fate at a time and not being able to see one's own fate. Which makes sense, because if Momoshiki could see his own fate, he would have saw his defeat at the hands of Naruto and the others, which would inevitably actually raise his chances of success in battle with a little readjusting. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna replace this Shinjutsu. I'm putting it after the claw marks, right before Sukuna hikona. Now, really thinking about it during my recording, I don't think I can honestly say this Shinjutsu is more overpowered than the likes of Daikokuten, and even Sukuna hikona. I'll admit I'd probably have it in the same place if I had made this video about like 5 chapters ago, before we were introduced into an even more impressive Foresight Shinjutsu. But yeah, I'm gonna place Momoshiki's Foresight ability at number 7. Sukuna hikona and Daikokuten will be 6 and 5. So now moving on to number 4, we got the Karma Seal. So yes, the Karma Seal is actually a form of Shinjutsu. It basically allows any OTSUTSUKI to resurrect through any other compatible living being. It serves as a compressed backup file of the OTSUTSUKI's biological data. Over time, the karma will gradually overwrite the vessel's genetic profile until they transform into a perfect OTSUTSUKI. And in case an OTSUTSUKI has been killed, their soul will automatically migrate to one of their vessels and become anchored to the world of the living until the resurrection, as in Boruto's case. So basically, I have the karma so high because it not only acts as a major power buff for anyone that has it, but the vessel can also learn to hone the karma's power and utilize a portion of the OTSUTSUKI's power and abilities, like KAWAKI being able to use Sukuna hikona and Daikokuten, and Boruto and KAWAKI being able to absorb ninjutsu. So the karma is just completely broken, and it deserves to be among the top 5, no doubt. Unlimited resurrection with the opportunity to get stronger each time, power amps for the vessel, and new gained abilities. Yes, the karma is massively underrated among the other Shinjutsu. And I feel even though many Shinjutsu were introduced in the last 70 chapters or so, the karma is still amongst the top 5, no doubt. So, well-deserved 4th spot. So number 3, we got the Reflection Shinjutsu. Let's just say with this Shinjutsu, you'll be unbeatable. Now, this technique allows Daemon to reflect any attack back onto the enemy. If the user touches you with his palms, your attack will be reflected. If the user has any malicious intent behind his actions, then the attack will be reflected. Even if you think about attacking the user, that attack will be reflected back onto you. So the reason it's so overpowered is because honestly, it's actually impossible to fight without having any intent behind your actions. It's almost like fighting without thinking, something you'll have to literally train your brain to do. About 98% of the Earth's population can't really do that. And even then, you'll have to be fast enough to avoid getting touched. Even still, we don't know all the secrets to reflection, or even a counter to it. There's been some theory of how to counter it, but we haven't seen much on how to actually do it. And for that mere fact, reflection gets put at number 3. So number 2, I decided to go with Prescience or 10 Directions, the second form of Foresight we've seen in the series. Now, Prescience is a Shinjutsu that enables the user to see into the future, but unlike Momoshiki's Foresight ability, this Shinjutsu isn't limited to simple tableaus of the future of a single individual. This ability allows the user to see multiple outcomes from multiple futures, and it gives the user more information regarding the future and what steps to take to prevent certain outcomes that wouldn't be favorable. I can't imagine one thing you actually couldn't do with this ability. Like, let's say instead of KASHIN Koji having this ability, someone like JURA had it. Someone who's already a powerhouse. Crazy ability nonetheless. You understand how powerful and broken this would be in the right hands. It deserves the number 2 spot without a doubt. Nobody should question that. But there's one Shinjutsu that takes the cake as the most powerful ability in all of Boruto, and that is Omnipotence. Without a doubt, the most powerful technique in all of existence. Omnipotence is a technique used to bring out the user's desires. It can rewrite reality however they want. It's described as a programming language that gods have used to create worlds and to make anything real. Because of this, even Momoshiki declared this to be the most powerful of all Shinjutsu. Other than rewriting reality, the power is capable of affecting the minds of others. It's on an entirely different level of Genjutsu, similar to the Infinite Tsukuyomi. This jutsu can be used on a worldwide scale, manipulating the memories of everyone on the planet to how the user sees fit. And no matter what, it cannot be undone. Even if the person realizes their memories were altered due to omnipotence, the concept itself wouldn't stick in your memory, which means over time, it'll fade away until they forget that their memory was altered. The ultimate Shinjutsu. The reason Boruto and Kawaki switched lives and forced him into a life of a rogue shinobi. So that's all 9 Shinjutsu ranked from worst to best. I know a lot of people will have different opinions and different views. So if you agree or don't agree, simply let me know in the comment section below. I believe every Shinjutsu is overpowered in its own right, and I know there's gonna be more to come in the future, and we'll know more details about certain abilities too. So that can honestly change the rankings in itself. So later on, if we figure more out about an ability and I feel like it deserves to move up or down on the rankings, I'll definitely make a follow-up video. But anyway, let me know how you liked this video, and if you enjoyed and want to see more like this in the near future, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.